Welcome to the Pleiadian Blue Ray Show, wherever you are in this ever-expanding now moment. We don't have Bridget Rau or Larry Locken with us, but we have a special guest host today, Gerri Riddiough. Hello, Gerri.
Hi, Natalie.
Thank you for filling in so we can keep the show going. Bridget's mom is sick and in surgery, and we're sending her energy and healing and light and love. And Larry is busy and has stuff going on, so hopefully soon we'll get back to our regular schedules. But yeah, thank you so much for filling in.
No problem. I don't know how much I'll have to add, but I always say that and then come up with all sorts, don't I? So,
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be good. So we're going to talk about these cycles of chaos and order and like what's it all about and how can we handle it? How do we use it? And, why does it happen? It's actually quite interesting. I'm going to do some screen shares because I just want people to understand, first of all, I'm such a science nerd. What is chaos and what is chaos theory? So hold on for a second. Where's the screen share button? There we go. Is that coming up on the
it
screen?
is, yeah.
Okay.
It was, yeah.
So, oh yeah, now it's gone.
It's
Oh,
back
there,
here.
there it is. There it is. Okay. So how come I can't? Oh, present to everyone. Hold on. Let's see now. Sorry, this is still kind of. So if I go to here, okay, this is it now. Can you see it? Can you see me scrolling?
I can, yeah.
Okay, great. So, okay, so this is, actually, I want to go to this one first. Okay, so this is about what is chaos theory. And chaos and fractals are very much linked. So, chaos is the science of surprises and it's non-linear and unpredictable. And it teaches us to expect the unexpected. Now, traditional science deals with like predictable phenomena like gravity, electricity, chemical reaction. Chaos theory deals with nonlinear things that are impossible to predict or control, like the weather, the great weather, saying what's going to be the weather, it's always like very much out of very unpredictable. The stock market, our brain states, and so on. Now, I like this site because it gives the principles of chaos. So the first one is the butterfly effect, and I know a lot of people have heard about that, and maybe you've watched the movie.
I've heard of it, but I've not seen the movie.
Yeah, it's kind of like about how you change one thing and like it just has this like ripple effect.
Hmm.
So, a butterfly flapping its wings in South America can cause a hurricane in China. It's kind of like what it says. It may take a long time, but the connection is real. So this butterfly effect is that even small little changes will have like this whole ripple effect. And that is kind of like what it is with the fractals too, because it's like they ripple out.
Hmm.
Second point is unpredictability. Because we can never know all of the initial conditions of a complex system,
Yeah,
we can't basically predict. It's almost like too much information.
right.
So there is, and even slight errors have almost in a way the ripple effect, and so it's like any prediction is useless. Then you have these cycles of order and disorder, and chaos is not, people seem to think that chaos is just disorder, but it's actually the combination. You have order, and then you have the transition phase between order and chaos, and then where turbulence has an effect, and then you have the disorder. So, and they repeat.
Right.
So it's cyclical. Mixing, that's the turbulent state. That's where, let's say you have a point which is ordered and a point that's disordered. In the mixing stage, it can cause unexpected or strange things to happen. Feedback, it has a feedback system. So this is like what they give stocks, but like, anything like feedback, positive feedback, negative feedback, it loops back on itself. And fractals are a never-ending pattern. Fractals are infinitely complex patterns that are self-similar across different scales. So what they mean by that is like if you zoom in, you'll see the same pattern. And if you zoom out, you'll see it like repeated again. And they say like, okay, trees, rivers, coastline, snowflakes, all of those are fractals. Now, I liked this one, this page, Quora. It gives some really good pictures of fractals. So you have what they call the first fractal here is the Mandelbrot set. And they used that. That's like they use that a lot for different like mathematical equations. But I think it's just beautiful. I love fractals. I'm big into fractals. I think this whole world is a fractal, and understanding fractals is very important. So what they say is a fractal image is a visual representation of a strange attractor, which is a fractal space. So a strange attractor is whatever is causing it to loop again.
Right.
Whether it's gravity, you know, whether it's ourselves, it's something that's causing it to loop back on itself. And they call that the strange attractor. In determined systems, that would be gravity. Now, what happens is in our kind of systems, like where it's like our brain or our acting or life in general, it's non-linear. There's so many things coming in. You can't really say, well, this leads to that. So, you know, the strange attractor then is what they call it because it's harder to say what it is.
Right.
So now let me stop so that's what chaos theory is. You know, they're looping and self feedback mechanisms and all that kind of stuff. So one of the things is that order leads to chaos and chaos leads to order. So, you know, when you think, oh, I've got my life in order, you're already heading down the road to chaos.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
No, I'm feeling very much like that at the moment, very completely chaotic. Where looking back, I think I had my life completely in order. But then when I look a bit deeper, perhaps it wasn't, because I was, as much as I was functioning and I was getting on with things as we sort of taught here, the Earth way, working hard and such like, I was really grafting. But deep down, I was incredibly unhappy and unsettled with what I was doing. So even in terms of I'm looking back thinking, well, I knew what I was doing then and everything was in order and I was okay with everything. Perhaps actually it wasn't. Where, like I said, at the moment, I feel completely chaotic and don't quite know where to go, which way's up at the moment.
Yeah. And we also tend to think that chaos is negative, but like chaos can actually be positive.
Right.
It can actually bring about, like, it can be caused by a negative, but it can have a positive outcome. And we are going to constantly in our life go through these cycles of order and chaos. Order, you know, you have order, then the transition, which is quite turbulent, and then you get into the chaos state, and that's like, you know, really unsettling. And then that chaos then cycles back to order. And it's how we're going to deal with this. So we need to have like really good coping mechanisms in place, internal and external, to deal with it. Now, some of the things that I saw on the internet about it, I thought that were really good points was how to handle chaos is like taking total responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah, which I think that's something that many of us don't necessarily do. We're kind of taught to blame other people and to pass the buck really, rather than taking responsibility entirely, fully and completely as an individual.
Yeah, and I think like in some ways, like we're taught this fairy tale that everything should be perfect and everything, and it is a fairy tale because this world is a world of chaos. They just don't teach us how to deal with it.
Yeah.
The other point is they say that chaos is integral to being creative.
Right.
So that chaos is almost like a part of creativity, and that's how creativity is generated. So that's actually in a way of seeing it as a positive.
I would think then, if things get chaotic enough, that's when I suppose our strengths or creativity or whatever then has to kick in order for us to make changes and actually do something to get a level of what we would consider uniformity or back to being how we want things to do, to being in control, if that makes sense.
Yep, absolutely. There was like a business site. It was like some business life coach, but he had a pretty good article, and he states unequivocally that how you handle chaos will determine your success or failure.
Right.
And so, like, this is what I'm hoping that we can share or talk with people is like how to handle it.
Yeah.
So you need to come up basically when you're in a chaotic situation. You know, there's internal things and external things that you need to do. Basically, they're coping mechanisms. So we're always like, right now, we like things ordered. We all do. No one, very few people like things to be told, like, you know, oh, tomorrow I'm here and the next day I'm in another, totally another place or whatever. No one really likes that, or very few people like that.
Yeah.
So we need these coping mechanisms. We need to be flexible and basically be able to embrace change. And you always have to look for the upside or the positive.
Right. Which can be really difficult some days.
Mm-hmm.
Having one of those todays, you well know.
Yeah, today, we'll tell our listeners, today was like basically a crap shite day for both of us.
Fucking horrendous.
And yeah, we were just chatting before the show, and you know, I think like, yeah, we're like, yeah, we're going to the next level. That's what's the positive. Yeah, we're breaking through. And
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be real, like it doesn't, you know, but as long as you find something positive
Mm.
to you know, to that kind of brings you through. I think flexibility, again, is something that isn't really taught to us in our education system. But
Mm-hmm.
that's really the most important thing. Osho always talks about like how trees, but even actually grass, is so flexible, and that's why it lasts. I think grass is one of the most abundant plants along the planet. And any storm comes and it just bends and waves, you know, it's cut, it grows back, you know.
Mm. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's quite an important thing to bring up. Actually, it's not something that I particularly would have thought in that respect. But a lot of people are taking up lawns and such like, and actually concreting and such like that. Then takes away the ability for it to absorb when we do have large storms or rains come and such like that can then cause problems. So it's probably something that's completely taken for granted. Is actually quite vital.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, I didn't realize that, but it makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah, the concrete, then you see it like it all kind of buckles and breaks up. Yeah, when there's storms or over flooding or whatever.
Nowhere for it to go. Mm.
Right. Mm-hmm. And flexibility, what people don't realize is like, okay, so you can work on being like internally flexible, which is like allowing yourself to change your stance on something. A lot of people are taught, and I know I had this like taught to me when I was younger, that you know, you have to be strong and stick your guns and stick to your, you know, opinions. Why?
Yeah.
And you were actually seen as weak,
Mm-hmm.
floppy, you know, if you changed. But being flexible is actually a really powerful way to handle chaos.
Right.
And you can also then work on it. Some people may find that like mentally they're not able to like really work on that, but you can work on it physically with like yoga, Pilates, that kind of stuff. Like, you know, they both work together,
Mm.
internal and external. So you can work internally, like using meditation, doing positive affirmations, doing different stuff with your mind and how your brain and your thoughts work, and that will affect the outer life. Or you can work on the outer, the body, the physical, do stretches, get more flexible with your body, get your joints moving, and that will affect the internal, your thoughts and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So they work back and forth. So I do think like being flexible and embracing change, that was one of the biggest things like on a lot of the blogs and sites that I was looking at. The other thing is that and most of us, really believe that post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD,
Yeah.
is the biggest disease affecting all of us.
Yes, I agree.
And we're carrying not just our own, but our ancestors' PTSD.
Right.
7 generations is what the Native Americans say that we carry.
Right.
I know.
Marvelous. You sure it's only 7?
Yeah. Yeah, Jesus, can you imagine if it was more?
Yeah.
7 is enough, but that's why they always say the Native Americans, be careful what you do because it's going to affect, or it can affect 7 generations.
Right.
So you have to really mind what you do. But if you have all this trauma, you are not going to handle chaos very well.
Right.
So you have to kind of do healing on that first before you can even, begin to like kind of deal with the cycles of chaos and whatever.
Yeah. But again, I don't think we're certainly not taught to the coping mechanisms or how to go about that. And I think certainly in terms of PTSD, it can be literally from anything. I mean, even
Yeah.
in birth, we're kind of smacked, aren't we, when we're born, which puts us immediately into a state of fear.
I know, I never understood that. Have you ever seen what is it? Like I forget the name of it, but it's like a non-violent birth method. I know it's not called that, but it's like where they're very gentle with the baby and they leave the baby with the mother. It just makes so much more sense.
Mm.
I still don't get why they have to take the baby away and weigh it. Like it's really that fucking important,
Yeah.
You
It's all
know?
deliberate, isn't it? To put the child into a state of fear and being away from the mother. It's like when they've taught people, that I don't know why I'm talking about this, I haven't got any children. But saying not to, if a baby's crying, to leave it to cry and not pick it up and such, which is absolute bullshit. It's about as wrong as can be.
Yeah, it is.
And it's against maternal instincts as well.
Yeah. Or they say you'll spoil the child then. Well, a crying child needs to be looked after.
Every child's a miracle, so they deserve to be
Yeah.
spoiled. Not in the way of, everything thrown at them, but in terms of love, you can't ever. How much is too much love?
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Mm.
Well, I saw on one website, which I thought was really cute. It was like, okay, so these are some of the ways to like cope with chaos. It was like, take a step back, remove yourself from the situation, learn to be an observer rather than reacting.
Right.
But what I thought was really cute, and I did have this, but with my cat, pet your cat. If you have a cat or a pet, pet pet them because that's calming.
Yeah.
And then she said on her blog, I thought it was really cute. If you don't have a pet, pet a stuffed animal.
Who was this?
I think it was like Mind Body Green blog.
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Pet a stuffed animal, but I thought, okay, I'm assuming that petting motion is calming.
Mm.
Of course, breathing, working with your breath
Yeah.
is really important because sometimes what we can have is like almost like a panic attack when we're first
Absolutely. Yeah.
dealing with it. Yeah, with chaos, and breathing then is really important. Some of the things that I wrote down is, positive affirmations. Like, so that's would be like an internal and external because you can say them inside your head and you can also speak them out loud.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that we had talked about on our show the other day, crystals, like if you, I love crystals and I always have about 2 or 3 of them in my bag.
Yeah.
and I'll switch them around and just say, like, sometimes I'll be like, who wants to come with me today? You know, my little babies, you know, and pop them in my bag and off I go. And I just think they're great because you don't even really have to know what they do. They're doing it.
Mm. That's really good because it's not something that I consciously do. I do have a lot of crystals, but I don't tend to use them or work with them as much as I could. I tend to use, like on my necklace, I'll put odd ones on as and when, but it's kind of just literally that, as and when.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think they're just amazing. We are crystal beings.
Right.
Crystal at our core, our bones are a type of crystal.
Yeah.
And we have elements. We have all the elements. We have zinc. We have, copper, magnesium, iron. We have everything in our body. We are crystal beings, and the earth is a crystal being, and we are her children. So a lot of the things that crystals do, we do. One of the things that I saw about like how we deal with this goes back to the PTSD, it's cell memory.
Mm.
So your cell holds the trauma, and like I know that like there's certain things that can really trigger me. One thing, and I don't know why. I think I got lost a couple of times as a kid. If I get lost, like if I'm driving and I don't know where I'm going, I can have a total freak out and wobbly. I can just totally like freak out, like way over for like, it's not like I'm gonna die or anything,
The
but I
circumstances,
literally
yeah.
freak out.
Yeah, I used to be like that absolutely all the time. Now I realise, because I had a driving job, well, it wasn't a driving job, I was a business development manager, a regional sales manager, and it was travelling around the whole of the north of the country, and I'd get into absolute, complete and utter panic attacks about things. But I also realise now, I've been waking up to who I really am over about the last 13 or so years, which you mentioned again yesterday on the show, that for the time that I've lived by myself, it's almost as if that's been a natural progression of an awakening because I didn't have any distractions. So looking back at that time, I'd get into a right state, if you like, rather than the right state. I think now, because I was doing something that was completely, it was what I was meant to be doing, but was actually completely out of alignment with my real soul. It was what I was doing as a human to make money, if you like, to make enough to pay the bills and such like. But in actual fact, it was against my soul. My soul knew that I was going out doing mortgages, and obviously on some level, my soul absolutely knew the whole fraud and the whole setup that was behind that. So I was getting more and more hysterical the more I kind of woke up. And even now, though I say I'm feeling like quite chaotic, I'm not freaking out. I don't feel great. I feel a bit crap, like we've said today, energies and such like. But it's not on the level that I would have been freaking out previously, it's bizarre actually. It's almost as if, because I'm not used to the freaking out and shaking and being in absolute terror and palpitations, not having that feels incredibly sort of weird, like a bit homesick almost.
It's funny how we can get rid of something that's not good for us and miss it. Didn't we talk about
Yeah,
that the other
it
day?
is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so bizarre, but it's just a habit. It's like we're so habituated to having that situation or person, or even if it's a negative thing. Oh, that was it. It was the entity, the energy that was attached to you. Even if we have that, I've seen that with people then, and they're like, I don't know what to do, or I don't, because it's like we've been so used to it. We've actually accommodated it. I also wonder if it's kind of like the Stockholm syndrome, where we start to feel sorry for our, the guard who's guarding us in the prison.
yeah,
And as empaths, I do think like we do, because it's weird. It's like the person who's abusing us, because we're empaths, we probably could see the hurt, we could see their pain, and we
yeah.
actually feel sorry for them.
Yeah, the bastard keeps hurting you or whatever, and you can only feel their emotion, their kind of agony inside, and empathise with it, which is bonkers.
It is. It's really, really odd. Empaths, more and more people are waking up to the fact that they are empaths.
Yeah, and it's a very difficult road. It's an incredibly difficult journey when you don't know that you're empath. I mean, I've been watching it lately, actually, Charmed. I borrowed a box set, and I watched that for years and years and years, and it would talk about empaths and things like that without actually even. I knew it resonated, completely resonated, but I didn't kind of make the connection, which is mental.
So funny. Yeah, but what I'm wondering is, so the people who aren't empaths, like, are they just normal or are they sociopaths? Like, is empath actually the normal thing? Because I know they say that empaths, maybe I'm wrong about this, but only like it's less than 20% of the population that are empaths. I thought it was around 14%.
Right. Interesting.
So, like, we're the odd ones, yeah? Or are they the odd ones? I don't know. I just wondered, like, then are the rest like just normal? So they just don't, they just feel their emotions. They don't feel other people's. I mean, obviously they have sympathy.
Mm.
It almost, I don't know. I'm so used to being empath that I find it hard to think how it would be if I
Yeah.
was them.
It's very, very difficult. I think to put yourself in a situation where somebody's got emotion or carrying emotion or there's something there, we can completely resonate with it. But when it's something that's lacking or not there in somebody, it's impossible almost to shift that from yourself to get into that headspace of understanding what somebody else might. And it's not even a case of what they are experiencing, it's what they're not.
Yeah.
They have no concept of what a situation feels like, and they've not necessarily been through it either, which is evolution ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that we do that is we do feel it. For me, my belief set is that it's that we've been through a longer journey of that evolution, that we have been through things. I remember somebody saying to me, in past lives, and you've been hung, you've been the murderer, you've been the violent person, and I was horrified that it wouldn't be any of those things, because I can't imagine that I would. But on some level, we've got to have been, otherwise perhaps we wouldn't be able to understand it or see it or know that it's an integral knowing inside of what's right and what's wrong, which I struggle when people don't have that. I can't understand. It's like when people they sell their soul and such, like, it's like I can't even comprehend for a second how they can not know that that's not really a very good idea.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand it either. So what you're saying is, in a way, and that actually makes sense, that these empaths and being empathic is actually an evolutionary function.
Yeah.
We're more evolved. Ha ha ha.
It's not a competition. It's the game of life, isn't it? And leveling up.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's difficult to say that to people when there's horrendous things going on in the world. I posted something up earlier on Facebook just about saying, what various different lessons are and things that hurt us. It's about forgiveness and stuff like that. And somebody said, well, tell that to people in Syria. And I said, yeah, you're absolutely right. That's been engineered that way. And it's horrific. It's, part of me, I can only get upset about it. Which doesn't help anybody, but all we can do is do as much as we can to bring people together to be able to ultimately say that this isn't going to happen anymore. I've gone off at a tangent there.
No, it's all connected. Hey, chaos, disorder.
Yeah, true.
We're following a cycle.
Yeah.
What the other thing? So, like, yeah, the coping mechanisms. So, like, one of the things I put in the title is, like, it's a cleansing. So it allows us to change. It's like chaos is usually okay. Sorry, I'm going off. I'm being chaotic now. Blah. The change points. Like, why does chaos happen? Okay, we already know that disordered things are going to go into chaos anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I truly believe that it happens because we have to start a new cycle. We have to. It's like a change. It's like a kick. to
Mm.
change us in a new direction.
Yeah.
And when we resist it, it's going to be much harder to deal with. And that's why the flexibility and being open to change are
Yeah.
vitally important, you know,
Yeah,
for
definitely.
handling it.
It's the old bamboo, isn't it?
Yeah.
You like bamboo. But I think it's very easy to become almost fixated on a way that something will turn out or a way that something will go. And it's one thing focusing on an end result, but when we're focusing on the how it'll happen or such like, that's when that's kind of down to the universe and outside of our control. And when we do try and control it, that can lead to more and more chaos for us because it's just not what we expected, which can throw us out of kilter.
Exactly. And if we resist change, it's only us that's going to be harmed
Mm-hmm.
because change will happen whether we like it or not. So the
Yeah.
more that we dig our heels in, that's when you start to get like the body, illnesses, those kind of things, accidents happen, that kind of stuff. When we're not willing to change and change our perspective, one of the things that, like, and I've mentioned this before, is like, don't believe in every thought that you think.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think shit thoughts and they're just baloney, but the mind is thinking it doesn't mean that you are thinking it. A lot of times we attach too much that everything is in our mind is us.
Yeah, and I think there could be other external factors as well there. Again, going back to Charmed, bizarrely. I was watching this episode. I don't watch TV, but I've gone back to a certain box set, certain things that have shown up that kind of guided, right, watch that now, and it always reveals so much in terms of like the 180, the programming and such like. But one of the things that is, there's these guys that would stand over your shoulder as entities, demonic entities, but would be actually feeding thoughts into that person's head, if you like. So they're not necessarily all ours. And it is a case of getting in control, but I don't believe anybody's actually fully in control 100% of the time of their thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. We've talked about the archons. I think it's important to keep talking about it.
Yeah.
They mess with our thoughts and
Yeah.
they plant thoughts in our head, and all of a sudden we can think, yeah, I'm a failure, or that person sucks, or whatever it is that we're thinking, or anything negative, because that's how they feed.
Yeah.
And our mind, the element, because we can't see where the thought is coming, it just like pops up in our head.
Yeah.
We think it's us, but I think as we evolve, honestly, as humanity evolves, I think we're going to start to be able to put filters in and start to know when it's our own thought and when it isn't. One of the things that I learned, now I learned this through I did years of biodynamic psychotherapy. And biodynamic psychotherapy is all about the body and body responses. And actually, it's fantastic. She'd also, like, as you talk about your problems, she'd massage you to massage out the problem, to get it out of the cells and out of the muscles. One of the things is, if you have a thought and you want to know, okay, is this thought mine or is it not? Look at your body response. So let's say that, like, someone says something and you don't know, like, your reaction sometimes may not even be your own, right? And how you know is, like, think of the thought again. If you get a tightening, it's usually not you.
Right.
A tightening is like a negative response.
Would that be a tightening in the gut or the body? Or
Exactly. It's
I get that a lot.
Well, the clenching and the tightening is probably that it's not you, that's being sent, or it's coming from something else. If it flows, or like sometimes even an emotional response, it can be you. Or if you feel like a tingling.
Right.
Like you think something and you get like like, so I get the prickles on the back of the neck, the tingling up the neck. That is usually that it's like your body, basically that's usually a positive sign, but your body will tell you. Any kind of clenching, down pulling, tightening, shoulder, all that kind of stuff, that's usually a lie.
Right.
It's not true. And your body is telling you it's not true.
Okay. Mm.
When there's a flow of energy,
Mm.
that's the truth.
Right.
And in a way, you can trust your body, but you can't trust your mind.
Yeah. Okay. I must admit, I feel about 95% of me is not me. I feel as if I'm being sort of crushed by something at the moment. That there's this 5% that knows what it needs to do and knows how to do it, but 95% almost terror, fear, that's essentially not real, but it's getting past that.
Yeah, and it's traumatic too, because it's like we have to deal with these, I mean, it's upsetting when you start to realize, oh my God, so yeah, 95% of me and what I thought was me is not actually me. And
I
who
feel
is
like,
it?
yeah, like a fraction of myself, but it's too big
Hmm.
to fight at the moment. I don't know. But that could be the programmed me, the human me, that's then had to come apart, that you've broken down to then be able to kind of re-emerge, bit phoenix-like that we mentioned before,
Exactly.
and build up to that. You can't go from one to the other. You're not going to go from your 100% programmed, conditioned human to 100% bloody starseed, like being intergalactic wherever overnight. And if
Yeah,
we did, it wouldn't be the challenge that we came here for, I guess.
yeah. One metaphor I love is, everyone talks about the caterpillar to the butterfly.
Yeah.
The caterpillar goes into its pupa and basically turns to mush. Everything
Mm.
that made up the caterpillar breaks down and reorganizes to form the wings, the color, the body of the butterfly.
Yeah. I posted a photo up about that. I'm just finding it now. It says,
It's an amazing process.
it quite sort of threw me. It fascinated me a little bit. It says, do caterpillars know they're going to be butterflies, or do they just build the cocoon and be like, what the fuck am I doing? So it's basically that, like you said, it turns into complete goo, completely dissolves.
Goo, yeah, dissolves and recombines totally.
Yeah,
It
and I'd never
digests
heard that before. I
itself.
didn't.
Yep.
Yeah, I was absolutely into literally nothing, just a fudge of itself, I guess. I don't know. Turned into soup there, and then it all gets it gets its shit together to be a stupid, majestic little beast.
Yeah. And it's hard to allow yourself to be flexible enough to allow yourself to be, in a way, destroyed.
Mm,
I think a lot of the stuff too that we're taught, again, we were talking about the programming of stick to your guns, stick to your ideas. I think that's a program to keep the old ways in.
mm,
And we have to let go of that, but it is scary because it is almost like when you're going through a chaotic cycle, it is a death.
yeah,
And we have this inherent fear of death, but I think we need to be okay with it because, in a way, we are going to be reborn without having to go through a physical death
mm. I don't have a
in
fear of
this
death. I've
life.
never have had. But I kind of rate everything on a case of would I top myself or not because of it. It's not. I shouldn't even laugh. It's not funny, is it?
Yeah.
Literally, I do. I just want off a lot of the time. I just want away
I
from
think
it.
starseeds have a hard time being here.
Yeah.
We obviously wanted to come here, and then so many of us, for whatever reason, linked into genetic lineages because our ancestors, it's different from your soul and where your soul came from. That's just like the genetic DNA, the line that your soul popped into that body.
Mm.
It can be so different, and they may not be star seeds at all.
Right.
Your ancestral line, nothing, but you popped into that line for whatever reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've chosen it. We've
Hmm.
absolutely chosen it. There's no two ways about that. But it's a bit like I said earlier to you. I should be this bloody invincible being that's fearless and absolutely up for any challenge and will run at it head on. And I've turned into this 5% wreck that just pulls the covers back over my head. This isn't me, and I don't know. But then saying that, I've spoken to a couple of people online today, including yourself, and a few people said, you know, we've watched the videos that you do. One of my friends, Tracy, I've been up till 4 o'clock in the morning watching some of your stuff. And you kind of waking people up in a good way, that you're showing them that they've got a life purpose and there's more to life than we're told, and how to go, you know, sharing about little bits of universal law and stuff like that, that I really need to step that up. And I'm probably being too hard on myself. That she said, they just keep doing what you're doing, and other people have said the same. And then another friend, Samantha's just messaged us saying that. I said, I'm just really off. I said, because you said something lovely yesterday. Basically, you're a leader and we're your team. You know, you're doing great. I said, I feel like a complete mess. I feel like I'm bollocksing everything up. I'm not making any progress. And she said exactly the same as we have. Basically, yeah, it's like some dark forces and stuff. She said, but you've upped your game. You've basically stepped it up, which is along like with yourself, Natalie, that I've done that. Couldn't have done it, made that transition on my own. It's been brilliant that we do it together. But it's obviously beginning to get noticed, and it's what you said as well this afternoon.
Well, they actually, people may not realize it, but when you're a light worker, there are dark forces, and I don't like to use always the word cabal or whatever. These dark forces, who knows what they are? They could be a conglomerate of different dark forces, but they will try to block us because they either feed off of us, off the energy that we give off, of our fear, and upset and turmoil, or they want to keep the status quo.
Yeah.
And they will send directed psychic attacks towards starseeds and light workers to stop us shining our light. And it ain't going to stop us, but it's hard to deal with, because when you're feeling it, like so you know what actually happens, what's kind of scary is that our body won't lie to us, but our body will respond to a thought.
Yeah.
So we could have a thought that's not ours. So let's say, oh, I'm shit and I'm a failure and I'm not doing anything. And you'll get that whole clenching, tightness, it's a lie, but the body responds to it.
Right.
It makes us sick. And we're like, God, I feel like shit. It like just adds to it. But you actually get this whole response.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, because that's exactly what I get. So on top of feeling shit to start with and telling myself I'm shit, the body then reacts like that, and you feel even more like shit. In actual fact, if it's the body saying, behave yourself, you're being ridiculous,
right?
It's a real positive.
But we're not taught that.
Yeah.
No. I don't even know what school is about at this point. Because the education, like with the kids, like why are we teaching them just reading, writing, and arithmetic?
Because it's a mini fucking prison. It stops the creativity. It stops them asking questions. It makes them answer to authority, which means that they're being prepared for later life to be a slave.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, to be intelligent enough and functioning enough to hold down a job, but nothing more, that they don't want people asking questions or setting up their own businesses, or if you like, earn their own living and such like, that would be tapping into their creativity to do what we should all be doing, what we love. And yet instead, we're all slung into jobs, if we're lucky enough to be in a bloody job, earning a living, doing something that makes us fucking miserable. And that, again, keeps the entire energy of the planet down.
Yeah, I was reading something. It was something someone posted in a group. Now, I do believe in this, that like there are beings, and they call, like some people call them the archons. We've mentioned them earlier, that harvest our energy. But this was a site that was saying about the word loosh. Have you heard of that?
Loosh? No.
Loosh energy. Hold on, I'm going to find the site. Freedom articles, trawling the human farm for human energy, loosh. Loosh energy harvested by transdimensional beings.
Right.
So, louche, how do you say, where is it? Oh, well, what is the meaning of louche?
Well, you just look for that. It's funny actually. When I go into human thinking, that's when I get into kind of, oh, I can't do this, and I'm not going to be able to make that work, and I don't know how to do this and the other. And like I said, feedback from people has been 1,000,000% positive. I couldn't have had any better feedback and assistance with keeping on track. Then I go into Pleiadian, and remember that it's an entire planet, it's the human race, it's the reptilians that are doing this. And I'm like, fuck this shit. And I really want that then takes over a completely different energy of I'll do whatever it takes, losing the fear, but then I seem to snap back into human fear, terror of an inadequacy.
Yeah. Well, it's again, it's the feedback system. So you have the negative thought, and then your body has like let's say a negative response. Now it's trying to tell you to stop, but it actually feels awful, and you produce all the negative, the corticosteroids, all the negative stuff from it.
Yeah.
So it is really important to like stop the thought, or you can either stop the thought or not react. Learn how to distance yourself and just observe the thought without having, because the body, when you do that, you stop the body response.
Right. I did a training course, like a online thing where you got a hours coaching a week from a thing in America. And one of the things they taught was saying, that's not me, that's just a program. And basically forgiving it and releasing it and letting it go. You're acknowledging that thought. You're saying, basically, that's just my old thinking, it's conditioned thinking, and let it go. I probably need to get back in the habit of doing that myself.
Yeah, we do. And I do it too. You know, we're constantly, and we're being bombarded by so many things. It's a constant process. So now this is from Freedom Articles is what it's called. I mean, I'll put the link up later if people are interested. It's human energy louche. So the ultimate point of the conspiracy, so they're talking about the New World Order conspiracy, is like they're saying, okay, the bankers and all that, but it's really the archons, which are interdimensional beings that feed off of us. So that's what the point of it all is, harvesting energy from the human farm.
Yeah.
It's not about money, it's about power.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they are not, the New World Order conspirators are not the ultimate controllers. It's the archons. So louche is defined, Loosh, but in the Urban Dictionary as an energy generated by all organic life in varying degrees of purity, the clearest and most potent coming from humans, engendered by human activity. Shocking as it may seem, humans are not at the top of the food chain. This is what it says here. Reportedly, the light being that told Monroe that when humans die, their energy is released and harvested by transdimensional beings. They use it to extend their own lifespan.
Yeah.
The claim is the universe is a garden created by these beings as their food source.
It's like your source of eternal youth, isn't it? Stealing our energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they said that animals are intentionally positioned on this planet to feed on plants and on each other, thereby releasing the life force of their victims so it can be harvested. In the predator-prey struggle, exceptional energy is produced in the combatants. The spilling of blood in a fight to death conflict releases the intense energy, which the light beings call louche. Now, I find it hard. Maybe this is true. I feel there's definitely a lot of truth in that. But I don't think like we're just here to, like, it's the same thing. I'm not here just to get a job and do that. I'm not here just to feed these fucking archons either.
No. Well, the archons, they're not even here. Other than
dimensional, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not actually on Earth. I did watch something a little while ago. The guy was saying basically the archons had backed off and left the reptilians and what have you. That's bullshit. It's more just head fuck that they're putting out there. It's not true.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I read that too, and they were saying, oh, the archons and the reptilians, and
they backed off into it. Nah.
Baloney, because we'd see a huge change.
Even energetically.
So they haven't backed off. I agree with you. It's
Yeah,
smoke and mirrors.
yeah, completely. And part of that, is for us to kind of give a sigh of relief and think, oh, it's over or what? It's not. It's the same as it's been. In fact,
Mm,
they're up in their game, to be
yeah,
honest.
I think they're upping their game
Yeah.
too.
Mm.
Uh, so we can use chaos to like for our benefit, and like if we are being harvested for our energy, I think do anything that we can so that like they can't get our energy, and just learn like to find our soul purpose and to do what we want to do regardless of what's going on there, and to minimize the impact of their effect.
Absolutely. I think it's worth remembering that we need to be on more than 50%, 51% vibration, loving vibration, and in the happier emotions, because they're the things that they can't fucking stand.
Right.
One of the best things to do is send them love. Send them as big amount
Yeah.
of love as we can possibly manage, right from the solar plexus and the heart. The other things, yeah, the soul purpose, the life purpose or earth purpose that we come here for, the best way of finding out what that is to demand it, but demand it like you want to breathe. You've got to have a level of absolute bloody mindedness, if you like, determination, commitment, that I want to know what I'm here for. And most people never ask.
Yeah, because we're not here to pay taxes and work 9 to 5 and to feed archons our louche energy.
And we folk, and they know how the universe works. They know universal law. So one of the reasons that we are taxed is when we contribute money, which is energy, to something. If we give a token to something, the universe knows that we want something. So one of the things that we do, like if we've got our own business or invest in ourselves, is tithe to the bank or church of us. The whole reason that they do that with taxes is you 10%, 20%, or even 40%. 20 and 40% means you really want something. The taxing is taking that money, which is energy, more energy harvesting, and our intention setting, our energy putting into something that says to the universe we really want it, and then they're investing that money in bombs on, bombing people in other countries, and that they know exactly what they're doing in terms of harvesting universal law and keeping us completely ignorant to it as well.
Yeah, but thankfully people are waking up. I think it's going to happen more and more. I
Yeah.
I have a 21-year-old daughter, and her friends, they're all aware of this stuff and talk about it and talk about a lot of stuff in propaganda and programming. So feel very positive about the younger generation, actually.
Well, yeah, to a degree. My brother's 21, and he's very aware of a lot of what's going on. But he just says we're all fucked. That's a
We
point
just
of
have to
view.
make,
That's
we
one way of
are,
looking
in
at
a way,
it.
we are all fucked, but we have to make the best of the situation.
I think the biggest thing with that is it's one thing people being awake and seeing what's going on, and like it's the propaganda to the complete stitch of the enslavement. But for me, we've got a moral obligation or a responsibility to be then sharing universal law and teaching people how that all works. Because there's no point just everybody running around going, we've got a situation, we've got a problem, and waking people up when we're not working towards and with the solutions and working in the energy that'll get us heading towards what we do want, instead of just, otherwise we're just adding to the problems that are there by giving them more energy and airtime.
Yeah, yeah, we have to follow our own bliss. I think the soul purpose is quite related to the bliss,
Yeah,
because when you're doing your soul purpose, you're filled more with love, you're filled with bliss, you're filled with happier feelings. So I just wanted to recap some of the points at the end. So chaos is a cyclical thing. So it goes order, chaos, order, chaos. Everything here is chaotic. It follows a fractal pattern. It keeps feedback and looping back and forth. So a lot of times too, what can happen to people with the loop is that I thought I cleared this, but you're actually on another loop. And it's like maybe it's not exactly in the same position.
yeah,
It looks similar, but you're on another loop.
yeah,
It's not the same loop because you're like, oh, I thought I cleared this problem. Like, let's say you have abandonment issues
right,
and you clear it, and then something happens and you feel like you get all those feelings again of feeling abandoned, but you're actually at a different level of the loop. Um, Taking responsibility, total responsibility, is a great way to handle dealing with chaos
yeah,
and cycles of chaos. Being flexible, and getting your coping mechanisms. That's so important, people. It may be having a pet that you can hug and pet, to, you know, working with crystals, doing meditations, positive affirmations, grounding, whatever it is, but you need your coping mechanisms, and you need to be, you know, flexible and adapt to change.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to
There's
that.
only one thing, well, two things. One of the things you mentioned at the beginning was the weather. Now, obviously, aside from we're aware of kind of HARP technology and such. I just sort of point out really. And one of the other things that we can do to affect the weather is consciousness, but it's got to be on a mass scale. So it'd be something that we can talk about maybe some other time. So it was worth quickly addressing. And the other thing that they tend to use when talking about New World Order and such like is order out of chaos. It's essentially different to what we're talking about here, but stems from the same. That they use things that we've got to deal with in our own lives and turn them into the 180, effectively, the 180-degree flip, the opposite to what it is. It's a bit like when people say things like, you know, 9/11 was an inside job or 7/7. The reality is we are an inside job as well. That's where the real term inside job should come from, and that's the work on ourselves, including belief sets and such like that need
that's a good point.
Constantly addressed.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic point. I like that, actually.
I didn't know if it was or not, but I think sometimes for me, if I was listening to this or viewing some of the things that we film and hangouts and stuff, if I was hearing things brought up, thinking, well, that doesn't, it kind of rings a bell, but it's almost coming from a completely different angle. Yes, it is, and deliberately so, because it's all part of the setup that's the wrong way around to what it should be.
Yeah. Cool. And you just have to find the way that works for you. We're all going to have to deal with this. We don't seem to have, they didn't train us how to deal with chaos.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of new.
Absolutely. Well, we're not only not trained to deal with it, we essentially mind controlled and programmed, hypnotized to create our own. One crisis to the next.
Our own chaos generator, because they feed off that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very annoying, and it's and then we have the trauma from other cycles of chaos that we haven't healed yet.
Yeah.
So it's a never ending, but yeah, usually I like to, and that other thing was you have to find the positive. What I like to look at, or what I try to tell myself, is when things go into chaos and things are changing, I try to find the positive. Okay, I either say it's a cleansing, so I'm getting rid of what no longer serves me, or I'm going up a level.
Yeah.
And those things tend to help me to get through it.
Right. Yeah. I'm quite a booger for.
Yeah, I'm doing a show. Yeah, my daughter just came in.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, let's. I think that's it. Let's wrap up because she just came home. So.
Yeah.
Gerri, do you want to tell people where they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, basically on all platforms really, Google Plus, Facebook, Twitter, even Pinterest, Instagram, just Gerri Riddiough. And God, I couldn't think of the word then. Website's just gerririddiough.co.uk. That's about it really.
Okay. And people can contact me at www.alayahealingservices.com. And I'm Starseed Shaman on Facebook, Google Plus, WordPress blog, and YouTube channel, and Twitter at Alaya Healing. And I wanted to give a big shout out to our fearless leader of Pleiadian Express Productions, Rocken Larry Locken. He set up Pleiadian Express Productions, and I'll put the website up, and thank you for your donations if you want to donate, because that's the only way that we can get money for equipment and stuff, is through your donations, and we really appreciate it. And our other host who couldn't be here, Bridget Rau, you can contact her at becreativelyu.com.
Excellent.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Good night. Speak to you soon.